This meeting in the Ukrainian capital is significant on several levels. The presence of the NATO Secretary General in Kiev is above all a slap in the face for the Kremlin's henchmen, who have been sending messages for several days now, ruling out Ukraine's ties with the West as one of the basic conditions for ending the war. I would like the trilateral format with Trump and Putin to be immediate, but if President Trump says that the format in which we can continue talks is a bilateral path, then we are ready to support that, and then we can have trilateral talks. Let's talk about the date and place. That's all I have to say for now. The message from Kiev is clear. Zelensky is waiting to meet with Putin. The problem is that the Russians are not eager to finalize the details of the meeting. What's more, they are increasingly changing the narrative of what they were supposed to talk about a few days ago at the summit in Alaska. Ukraine, unlike Russia, is not afraid of any meetings between leaders. We are ready to work productively and as efficiently as possible. We hope that our partners will help ensure at least minimal productivity on the Russian side. According to Western media reports, Donald Trump has decided to withdraw from the negotiations between Russia and Ukraine for the time being, so as not to put pressure on either side. However, the U.S. president stressed that the next move must be made by the Kremlin. I would say that within 2 weeks we will know whether it will be one way or the other. It is possible that later we will have to use a different tactic. We'll see. We'll find out soon. The White House has not yet revealed what these different tactics are, but it can be assumed that they involve arming Ukraine. Another statement by the U.S. president leaves no room for doubt. In his opinion, depriving Ukraine of the ability to counterattack Russia has taken away its chance for a fair fight. It is very hard, if not impossible, to win a war without attacking an invader's country. It's like a great team in sports that has a fantastic defense, but is not allowed to play offense. There is no chance of winning. It is like that with Ukraine and Russia. Crooked and grossly incompetent Joe Biden would not let Ukraine fight back, only defend. How did that work out? This post appeared on social media shortly after the Russian attack on a U.S.-owned plant in western Ukraine. It seems that the visit of the Ukrainian delegation to Washington, D.C. was of great importance to Trump and his attitude towards the situation in Kiev. Therefore, such declarations and support from, for example, the NATO Secretary General are not without significance.
Layer number one will be after a peace deal / a long-term ceasefire, or a combination of the two. The first layer has to be for the Ukrainian armed forces to be as strong as possible to defend this proud country and nation going forward. And the second layer has to be the security guarantees provided by Europe and the United States.
The Americans themselves have ruled out, at least for now, the presence of U.S. troops in Ukraine. This does not mean a lack of equipment, supplies, or support from Western European countries. But in Moscow's narrative, both the expansion of the Ukrainian army and the stabilization mission of NATO countries in Ukraine are unacceptable, and this seems to clearly determine the chances of reaching a peace agreement. The story of a young woman from Gisors in northern France has moved the French. An immigrant from Mali followed her and broke into her home. He tried to rape her, but the 22-year-old defended herself with all her strength and managed to call for help at the last moment. The young woman moved out of her apartment. She now lives with her parents. She is on long-term sick leave from work, has anxiety attacks, and takes medication. This is not surprising, given that young women in France are increasingly being brutally attacked and humiliated by aggressive immigrants from different cultures. Women living in culturally, ethnically, and religiously diverse neighborhoods and cities are finding life increasingly difficult. They cannot leave their homes often. They are harassed on the streets. Men from Arab and Muslim countries whistle at them, accost them on the streets, molest them, and sometimes tragedies occur. In France, Spain, Germany, and everywhere else where left-wing liberal authorities have allowed illegal immigrants to enter without control or reason, the level of security has fallen sharply, and immigrants have turned the lives of the residents of Berlin, Paris, and Brussels into hell. The successive waves of attacks on women across Europe, particularly in France, often by illegal migrants or migrants who do not assimilate, clearly show the failure of this policy, the migration policy, the integration policy. It is mainly young women who fall victim to various types of behavior here. In Spanish towns, people are taking matters into their own hands and dealing with illegal immigrants who terrorize the most vulnerable, women and the elderly. The country's ruling socialists are just turning a blind eye and pretending that the problem does not exist. Elderly people are afraid to go out on the streets. Parents are afraid for their children, who play in parks and on the streets. And in countries ruled by left-wing liberal authorities, the police are not pursuing aggressive immigrants, but ordinary people who do not agree with this culturally alien invasion. All this so that this disastrous leftist ideology does not collapse. In France, a feminist activist who was raped by an immigrant was intimidated by other feminists not to report the crime to the police. More and more people do not want to live in fear in their own countries, cities, and backyards. This is a protest in Manchester, England. Thousands of people are demanding an end to the influx of illegal Islamic immigrants and mass deportations similar to those introduced by Donald Trump in America.
Yes, guys, look at the crowds here. Look at that. Millions of people. Before anyone starts asking why I have the Union Jack around me, it's the same protest in Ireland as it is in England. The same people are trying to replace us. So it doesn't matter where you are, you take part in a protest nearest to you, yeah? Go on, have a great day, people.
For many countries, especially in Western Europe, it may already be too late. Millions of immigrants are already there and are forcing their own rules on the streets and in cities. Poles do not want the terrifying scenes taking place on the streets of Berlin, Paris, or Brussels to happen in Poland as well. We are strongly in favor of defending our borders, not letting in illegal immigrants, and limiting all mass migration. Our actions, which we are carrying out at the borders, among other places, are also aimed at protecting our women, that is, our mothers, wives, and daughters, and that is why we cannot give up on this path. At stake is security, which left-wing liberal politicians have already taken away from their compatriots in Western Europe. This could be a decisive moment in the war between Israel and Hamas, a moment that will determine the future of the Gaza Strip. I have come here to approve the Israeli army's plans to take over the city of Gaza and defeat Hamas. Thank you for your presence, both the regular army and all the reserve soldiers. You are all here for an important purpose. Israel's plan is to take control of Gaza City and relocate about 1 million civilians to the south of the Strip, but above all, to disarm the Hamas terrorists, for whom the city is an impregnable fortress. We will increase the destruction of terrorist infrastructure above and below ground and make the population independent of Hamas. We are continuing to help the residents of the Gaza Strip and are even expanding our assistance. We will create additional aid distribution centers. This method will cut off the population's dependence on Hamas. Israel is preparing for a conflict that could last many months, as evidenced by the mobilization of reservists. It is to take place in several waves, with the last group of tens of thousands of reserve soldiers scheduled for the turn of February and March next year. At the peak of the offensive, there will be about 130,000 reserve soldiers under arms. At the same time, I have issued instructions to begin immediate negotiations for the release of all our hostages and an end to the war on terms acceptable to Israel. Israel's conditions for ending the war with the terrorists are the disarmament of Hamas and the release of all hostages held by the terrorists for nearly 2 years.
President Trump is fully supportive of making sure that Hamas knows that from the U.S. perspective, they have to disarm. They have to give up and let all the hostages go. Whether it takes 60 days or 60 minutes, that's the ultimate end result.
The Israeli government regularly faces criticism and demonstrations, demanding that the government secure the release of the hostages.
I'm here only because of one reason. We need the 50 hostages home. Then, after, the hostages will be here. Then, after, we can go in and do what we need to do.
With its new offensive, the Israeli army is promising greater and, above all, more effective humanitarian aid for the civilian population of Gaza, which is caught between Hamas terrorists and the attacking Israeli army. We remember a very moving report from the Gaza Strip, where children were asking to die because they claimed that on the other side, there was no more fear, hunger, or suffering. We also know, and this truth is confirmed in various war zones, that it is the weakest who suffer the most as a result of war, the elderly, women, and children. The situation in the Gaza Strip, ruled by Hamas terrorists, was difficult even before the current conflict began, and it is only getting worse. Goods such as meat have been unavailable for 4 to 5 months or longer. Eggs the same. There is no chance of getting them. Milk too. Doesn't appear on the market at all. These are all the basics that the human body depends on. The U.S. ambassador to Israel has criticized the actions of some European countries that are clearly siding with the Palestinians. They are forgetting that it was Hamas's attack on Israel that started the conflict, and that Israeli hostages are still being held.
Why are they there? Why are they still there? Why are they suffering? Where's the Red Cross demanding to go in and check on them and make sure they have food? Where's the international community? Where are the European leaders demanding that they get something to eat?
More than 2 million Palestinians currently live in areas of the Gaza Strip not controlled by Israel, most of them in makeshift refugee camps. The terrorist group Hamas still rules there, fighting for survival, and with no intention of giving up. U.S. President Trump has announced that he is temporarily taking control of the city's police department under his special powers, citing a wave of violent crime sweeping the nation's capital. The measures, which began last week, are to be carried out until the situation is resolved.
We're not playing games. We're going to make it safe. And we're going to then go on to other places. But we're going to stay here for a while. We want to make this absolutely perfect. It's our capital. And this place was emblematic of it with the crime, the horrible crime. And, you know, I watch these phony reports. Oh, we were on the way back. They weren't on the way back. It was worse than ever just a short while ago. But now it's going to be, I think now, right now, it's better than it has been in years.
The president thanked the soldiers and officers of other federal services, the Park Police, the Drug Enforcement Agency, and Internal Intelligence for their work.
So we have great hamburgers cooked by the White House. And we have pizza that I said, don't do it in the White House because we went to a place that makes the best pizza. So we'll concede. But we have a lot of it. So we're going to have some fun. We'll eat, and I'll eat with you. And we're going to have a little fun. We're going to celebrate. But then we're going to get back to work, and we're going to take care of these criminals. We're going to put them where they have to be. You're going to say, don't play around with us.
Officials and some residents criticize Trump's actions. They believe that the number of violent crimes is falling and that this is not related to the president's decision.
It's concerning. I know that they're supposed to be there for safety reasons, as is said, to reduce the level of crime. But I feel like it's infringing on just the people who live here and their personal safety, whether they're being questioned for just being in the neighborhood. I don't think it's fair.
Crime is not unknown in this area. The next block over, the 1400 dock of T Street, has been the site of several shootings in recent years. But this sort of display is not designed to, stop gun violence. It's not designed to stop the drug trade. It's designed to intimidate people.
The Trump administration has instructed federal prosecutors in the capital to take more decisive action to reduce crime and homelessness in Washington, D.C. Later, similar measures are planned in other American cities.
The city has recorded a 26